So Nalyssa Smith just had a game in the playoffs where she played 8 minutes and took one shot. And her one shot was a reverse layup that she threw from one side of the rim to the other side of the rim. She played 8 minutes. Like, I think it's safe to say her days at the Fever are pretty much done. And if you guys agree, subscribe. We're trying to hit 36.4k by the end of the day, and we are uno subscribers off. So anyway, let's talk about this whole situation. We gotta talk about this because it's really just, you're looking at it and it's just something's wrong. Like, I didn't think she was that bad today. Again, I don't think she was on the floor enough to be that bad. She played 8 minutes. She played like the first 4 minutes of the game and like the first 4 and a bit minutes of the second half. Like, she wasn't on long enough to make any mistakes. I don't think she made any mistakes. She wasn't even on the floor long enough to do that. And look, Temi Fagbenle was not good today. I know, I get it. Damaris Dantas offers something different when it comes to shooting. Damaris Dantas is worse on defense than Nalyssa Smith. And I firmly believe that. And Damaris Dantas is a worse defender than Nalyssa Smith. But, like, why only 8 minutes? And, like, I'm not high on Nalyssa Smith, by the way. Like, she didn't do anything wrong. And why would you start her if you're only going to play her a few minutes? Like, why would you start her if you're going to play her 2 minutes? Or, sorry, 8 minutes. Why would you start her to take her off first and not play her the rest of the half and do that at the start of the third? Why would you start her in the third quarter to do that? Why would you, heck, at this stage, like, why are you playing her? Like, there's no need. She's not going to give you anything in 8 minutes. You're either bench her or don't. Like, either bench her or don't play her. Don't play a starter to play her 8 minutes. Like, that's just dumb. I don't know what Christy Sides is doing with Nalyssa Smith. Because I want to say this right now. Like, just don't play her. Like, what? Are you starting her for trade value? She's obviously gone. We're going to see a freaking Natasha Howard post soon. She's probably going to be a Valkyrie next year. It wouldn't surprise me that much if she ends up being a Valkyrie with Dejanay next year. It wouldn't surprise me if they want to bring back, if the Canadians don't want to bring back DeWanna Bonner, Bree Jones, and Alyssa Thomas, they can't afford Dejanay. So I wouldn't be surprised to see both of them in the Valkyries. Like, that would be interesting, but I just don't understand how. And, like, again, Nalyssa Smith's been bad. And, like, this is not a let's defend Nalyssa Smith video. But it just doesn't make sense. Like, she hasn't been good. Bench her. Like, don't start her and play her those minutes. Because, like, the last thing you need to do to a player, your fifth best starter, is screw with their head. Like, the last thing you need to do with players is, especially the player who does appear to be the most mentally fragile on the team, is screw with her head. She's probably the only player on this team. I'll say, I'm trying to think of players that I would say aren't, like, unbelievably mentally tough. I think Katie Lou is to an extent. I think Dantas, there's just nothing seems to phase Dantas on the court. Obviously, some of, like, mental health stuff off the court. Like, when it comes to, there's a difference between being mentally tough off the court and being mentally tough on the court. I think Katie Lou Samuelson's incredibly mentally tough off the court. I don't think she's particularly mentally tough on the floor. I think Dantas is the opposite. Well, not necessarily the opposite, but, like, she is just, like, an ice woman on the floor. I think Temi's been struggling. I think Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark blow hot and cold on the court. Aaliyah Boston to an extent as well. But, like, Nalyssa Smith is the player where it's like, she is going to be Nalyssa Smith playing like Nalyssa Smith. And I don't mean like the Nalyssa Smith from this year. I mean the Nalyssa Smith that averaged 15 points or something a game as a rookie. Like, if you look back on Nalyssa Smith's rookie clips, it was like, there's the channel here, like, his name I think is Hunter Cruz. Like, I binge watched all his old stuff, basically just to learn as much as possible about this league. So I think in 2022 everything was like, well, Nalyssa Smith's gonna be, it's a matter of when, not if, she's all WNBA. It's like future all WNBA player in Nalyssa Smith. After her rookie year, everyone thought she was going to be, the way people are talking about Rakia Jackson right now is the way people are talking about Nalyssa Smith. Everyone's like, oh, she's going to just, it's inevitable she's going to lead the league in scoring. And the fact that she's not even playing well enough to get on the floor. But the problem is like, you don't want to play her 8 minutes, because if you start her next game, she's going to suck. You can't just play her and do that and put her on and have her on that short leash and take her off, where it's like you just don't play her then. Like, I think it is genuinely acceptable to not put her on the floor. It is acceptable when you're saying, like, look, we don't think she's good enough to play. We don't think she's like a fit for the team, which is fine. Which is completely fine. Like, if you want to sit her on the end of the bench and just say, look, do what some NBA teams do, and like, look, we don't think you're a fit. We're going with somebody else. But don't be like, look, we don't think you're a fit. But instead, what we're going to do is we're going to start you and play you a couple of minutes a game, and then we're going to take you off straight away. And no matter what you do, we're going to put you in at the start of the third, and we're going to take you off because we got two players in your position in Dantas and Temi that we prefer over you. Like, being demoted to a third stringer is fine, but you don't start the third stringer. You don't start the person who, in your actual rotation, is a third stringer. It's just dumb coaching, because all that means is that, again, Nalyssa Smith you're going to screw with her head, and you have a player on the court that is guaranteed to be playing 8 minutes a game that is going to give you nothing. Nalyssa Smith will give you nothing in the next game. I don't think she was good today. I don't think she was bad today. I don't think she was on the floor well enough to do anything today. Like, or she's on the floor long enough to do anything today. But it's not going to end well. It's just not. And at this stage, just free Nalyssa Smith. Just bench her. Free her by not playing her and getting rid of her the first thing you do in the offseason. Like, teams are going to be like, oh, we want something else to take her off your hands. Cool. Don't protect her. Don't protect her. The Valkyries are going to take her. She's going to average 16 points per game on a scrub WNBA team next year as their number one option. It is what it is. I get it. She might be trade bait. Maybe you want to keep her as trade bait, but no one's going to trade you anything for Nalyssa Smith. Nobody is. And I mean that. Nobody is going to give you anything for Nalyssa Smith. And that is just the unfortunate truth of it all. Nalyssa Smith is a perfectly good WNBA scorer. I think she's not bad. I think a lot of people have drastically underrated Nalyssa Smith as a player. But if you've only been watching basketball this season, especially if you only really started watching the Fever towards the end of the season, she has been garbage. And she has been absolutely garbage. Like, in games that matter. I want to look at, like, games that matter and, like, how many good games she's played. Like, she was awful today. She was good against Washington. But again, it was kind of empty calorie numbers. Then she had 13 against the Sparks. Okay, she was pretty good, I thought, against the Sky. She was really good against the Sky. But it's like, it's a lot of empty calorie numbers. And look, if you don't want to play her, just don't. And that's the one thing I will say to Chrissy Sides. If you don't want to play Nalyssa Smith, you don't have to. But what you don't want to do is do exactly what you're doing, which is screwing with her head, playing her 3 minutes at a time, and that's just not going to be a good thing for this team. It's not going to be a good thing at all for this team. There's no scenario where doing this ends up in any other way but Nalyssa Smith, every minute she's playing, being a bad minute. So if you're going to do if Chrissy Sides is going to do what she did with Nalyssa Smith today, like, just don't play her at all. And Indiana, obviously, trade her in the offseason.